Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast. I hope you guys all enjoyed your wonderful Christmas, and be sure to let me know what you guys got for your Christmas gifts in the comments below. But speaking of the Christmas spirit, although Christmas isn't for another 364 days, we are starting to see some Christmas vibes across the Midwest later this week as we're watching out for two significant snowstorms. I believe both have been named. I believe one uh, one got named Elmer, something like that. But there are two snowstorms within the next 3 days for the upper Midwest, so we're going to be watching out for a huge change in the pattern going from a rather warm Midwest just before Christmas to now a snowy post Christmas travel. So definitely keeping a very, very close eye on the Midwest. I'm going to be watching out for possibly over a foot within both storms. But without further ado, let's get in the forecast. So here's our latest look at the National Weather Service, and it finally looks like winter when you look at the overall amount of advisories and the overall radius that they're covering. So we've been seeing a few snowstorms now and there since December 1st, which I believe was our first ever named snowstorm of the year. And now we're starting to see finally a resemblance of winter across more than one part of the country, as we now have alerts all across portions of the western and as well northern United States, covering a wide radius. But the main areas we're really watching out for as of now for the two upcoming snowstorms is going to be this general region right here. We do have winter weather advisories all the way from portions of Idaho, Montana, all the way up towards the upper peninsula of Michigan. And then we have the more higher concentration of snowfall likely along the northern portion of the upper Midwest there towards north central Minnesota, much of North Dakota except for the western region. Anywhere basically east or north of Bismarck is going to be under that warning. And then, of course, the far northwestern counties of Wisconsin. Of course, we do still have that extreme snowfall across the Sierras and as well the Cascades all across the western United States. But this trough is going to start to make its way further eastward, and that's going to be the reasoning for these upcoming two snowstorms, which I believe is going to be beginning as early as later today, and then another one coming up towards the 28th. So let me go ahead and show you guys the overall setup, because right now I wouldn't say it's warm, but it is slightly above average across portions of the Midwest currently right now. However, this will change within a rapid day or so. But here's the main trough right now. Again, this is the trough that's bringing that really heavy snow across the Seattle area, Portland area, and as well even across the coastal Northwest, including the waters of Oregon and Washington. But this same system's going to make its way further eastward, so definitely going to be looking at for a overall upcoming significant change in the pattern. So there's that really strong open wave trough bringing in that extremely cold air. Like I said, 50 degrees below average, like we saw in the video 2 days ago. But watch as this ridge we're seeing across the southeast ridge is it's not going to really disappear. However, the northern part of this ridging is going to weaken. That's going to allow for the opportunity for this trough to start to expand slightly eastward. It's not going to be anything too crazy, but it is now at this point by later today making its way as far east as the border of Iowa, Minnesota. So it is now across portions of the Dakotas, and it won't take too much considering the averages of these areas are cold enough. So it's not going to be like the hearth of the trough. The hearth of the trough is still going to stay across the Pacific Northwest, but it is not going to be stretching as early as tomorrow morning now across Minnesota, Iowa, and then we start to see that really cold air make its way now into the Dakotas. And with low pressure kind of riding this cold front, we are going to be seeing a chance for a pretty large snowstorm in general. But of course, this will obviously then bring in threat for some rain as well for some severe weather. So there is even a threat for severe weather on day 4 and day 5, and I will talk about that possibly in tomorrow's video. But as we continue on, look at now by basically 24 hours from now, this is not going to make its way. This trough now it's going to start to the earth is now going to start making its way eastward. So now this deepest cold air is going to start to make its way towards eastern Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, and then this kind of the very beginning or the mouth of this trough is not going to get its way towards portions of the Minnesota area. That's where you start to see that cold air, and there's kind of the dip in the jet stream, and there's that mouth. There it is. The mouth's going to go right here now towards Minnesota, Wisconsin. So that cold air is going to be there, but that ridge is not going to give up. So if you're in the East Coast hoping for possibly a cross country snowstorm. It's not gonna be your time. Like I said, man, we're missing another storm coming in towards the 28th and 29th, and this is also gonna be a pretty favorable environment. Actually, I say a little bit more favorable, as that deepest cold air will actually be across portions of the upper Midwest. And look, about the 30th, this deepest cold air is going to bring some really cold air over the last days of 2021 across the upper Midwest and North Central. We're going to be seeing some dangerously cold temperatures across these areas. Let's now look at the overall temperatures for at least the next few days. So right now, there we have the overall current temperatures, at least for what we saw the past few hours. So still really deep cold air across the upper Midwest and the negative digits. And then, of course, we are still seeing that ridge being felt across the southeast and Gulf Coast already in the 60s and 70s. Just not pleasant whatsoever. Look at the overnight highs. It's just going to be brutal. Going to get a max temp of 94 degrees along the Texas and Mexico border. That's just absolutely that's record breaking for sure. Look at the highs. Really cold across portions of the upper northern United States, including North Dakota, not getting out of the single digits as well, not getting out of the negative digits across Montana. So you can start to feel this trough as early as today in the overday highs. But as that goes to tomorrow, it's going to get a lot colder. Very sure to see by now. Tomorrow morning, you're going to obviously be seeing a low pressure kind of developing across the west. It's going to kind of make its way this way. So anything kind of to the west of that low pressure is going to be included in that really deep cold air. And you're still feeling that ridge even across Iowa and Nebraska still. But as this cold front starts to make its way further in the central United States, these temperatures are going to get pretty cold across the central United States, getting below freezing once again across Nebraska, getting close to below freezing in Oklahoma for the first time in a while. And look at these cold temperatures now going to be seeing negative digits across the portions of the Dakotas, as well as going to be seeing single digits and as well teens all across the upper Midwest. So definitely the temperatures are there. So we won't have to worry about anything like that. And then by the 27th, these temperatures get even colder. You're going to be seeing now these negative digits getting towards Minnesota. And then as we go to the second setup for the 28th and 29th, these temperatures are definitely, like I said, a lot better when it comes to like actual how cold the temperatures are. On the second setup for the 28th, going to be seeing single digits across the Twin Cities, going to be seeing below freezing all across Kansas, below freezing into Missouri, below freezing into Oklahoma. So this does have a chance for a more widespread radius, because then by the 29th in the morning, we're going to be seeing below freezing as far south as like Oklahoma City. So definitely a really good setup. That our best setup, I say, in the past 2 weeks for the upper Midwest and central United States. If we look at the overall ARRR for this 12Z, since 12Z actually goes 40 hours out, you can see there's like basically nothing too crazy today. You can still see that snow across the Pacific Northwest, and then some snow squalls across Colorado and Wyoming. But there you start to see this setup as you see the low pressure starting to make its way towards Minnesota and Iowa area. And then, of course, going to be seeing areas kind of east of that cold front going to start being rain in the areas to the, obviously, closer to that cold air. In fact, going to be seeing, obviously, that snow. Going to be seeing heavy snow developing as early as this evening across the upper Midwest. Really heavy snow across North Dakota, South Dakota, and portions of Minnesota. Definitely going to be seeing some really heavy snow for the Twin Cities and as well western Wisconsin as we go in the overnight hours. So definitely going to be seeing some dangerous conditions in the overnight hours. Would not recommend driving. And it's going to stretch all the way up to as far west as like eastern Montana. So definitely going to be a pretty widespread. Then of course closer to that freezing line, closer to that low pressure, we're going to be watching at a slight threat for freezing rain as well for some sleep. So definitely going to be watching out as well for the ice threat. Definitely going to be seeing a higher ice threat closer towards southern Wisconsin and Illinois, because they're going to be right there on the freezing line. Because you see anywhere south of that, going to be seeing rain across areas near Washington as well, rain towards Illinois and Indiana, and then areas just north of that, we're going to be seeing really heavy snow, including Madison, Wisconsin, going all the way out towards the Twin Cities, Grand Forks, much of North Dakota. So it's going to be kind of areas anywhere from north central to the northwest. That low pressure going to be the bullseye for snowfall. And then we could possibly see a few hours of snow from Milwaukee. It's going to be one of those systems where you get a few hours of snow and then it goes back to rain, and then it kind of just disappears, because this will be pretty fast moving. And then, of course, it's going to make its way towards Michigan by 2 a.m. And then it's going to continue across upper Lake Michigan, Lake Superior. Then it's going to be just affecting those higher portions of the upper Midwest, including the Upper Peninsula, north central Minnesota, north Dakota, and then that second setup really won't come up till around 2 days later. And we can look at the GFS to see the second setup, since the HRR is not going to be in range. But here's what the GFS has. Again, there's that low pressure. Going to be seeing really heavy snow all across the north of that low pressure. Heavy snow stretching from Wisconsin and as well Lake Michigan all the way up towards the Dakota. So definitely widespread heavy snow. And of course, south of that freezing line, going to be seeing that nice rain. And then of course, the snow actually does have the opportunity to stretch as far east as the Pennsylvania area and those higher elevations as well. Going to be seeing a threat for some heavy snow as well ice. So there's an opportunity that this could very well stretch its way pretty far east for tomorrow across the Pennsylvania area. Um, but definitely be seeing an opportunity for some widespread snow, even possibly as far east as New York City. But that's not the main area to watch out for. The main area for tonight into early tomorrow morning and mid morning, you'll be seeing across the heavy snow is going to definitely be the area to watch. It's going to be portions of eastern North Dakota, north central Wisconsin, as well even uh, portion of north central Michigan, north central Minnesota, as well even towards the Twin Cities to get some really heavy snow. Madison could definitely see some slight accumulation, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. And then we have that second system on the 28th. This is going to be a little bit further south. Like I said, we are going to be seeing this freezing line a lot further south than the first setup. So we could see some snow as far south as possibly across Fort Wayne, possibly towards Toledo, Detroit, and then of course that really heavy snow. Then of course across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and as well eventually the Dakotas. And then this does have I say a greater chance of bringing snow across the Northeast. Looking at Lake Erie, could get some really heavy snow. They will be pretty much above that freezing line, basically across its general areas where that freezing line is going to be. And of course, that cold air is going to be all the way over here where you see that we're going to be seeing a high pressure system kind of developing, and that's going to allow for that kind of break of activity across the western United States. So after the 28th, we really want to have anything too interesting until just after New Year's. The Europeans pretty much similar. Again, really heavy snow. Possibly just have a chance to go into the northeast, but very very light. Going to be mainly an ice threat. But look at the northeast, really amplified compared to the GFS. Really heavy snow for Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and then of course into Michigan tomorrow, and then it should clear out by the next, I say, 30-ish hours. Look at the overall HRR snowfall. So this is going to be the main area to watch out, like I did say, across the upper Midwest. We could see some slight accumulation across southern Wisconsin. It's going to be very, very tough scenario for areas like Milwaukee, Madison, Rockford, Illinois. It's going to be very, very tough scenario. You guys are right on the border, and surprising or weirdly, the right on the border, Wisconsin, Illinois, is practically where the border is of freezing and freezing and above freezing. But main areas I say to watch out for main snowfall is going to be portion of east North Dakota, north central Wisconsin, north central Minnesota, including the northeastern tip right there near the Duluth area, and then of course portion of the Upper Peninsula. Could see between now and the 28th between both these snowstorms. This is actually just one snowstorm. The HFR is not in range for that first snow or for the second snowstorm. So this is the first snowstorm, the one tonight to tomorrow morning. We could see possibly as high as nearly a foot across eastern North Dakota, but overall a general broad area of anywhere from 6 to 8 inches across North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and as well, and of course across the areas of the northern tip of Minnesota, we could very well see over a foot and a half, and then we could possibly see maybe a few inches for the Twin Cities. It's going to be very brief though. Green Bay could get a few inches, while Upper Peninsula can get maybe over 3 to 5 inches. While the southern half and central half of Michigan could possibly get anywhere from a trace an inch, depends kind of where you are really compared to that freezing line. But look at Madison, 4.6 inches. That's definitely a pretty interesting scenario. And then you see maybe nearly an inch or so for Milwaukee, and we see some spots of over actually 10 inches across right then the border. But this is going to be a very tough scenario and tough forecast for Milwaukee as well as southern Wisconsin. Here's the overall look between now and January 1st. So this is going to include both the snowstorms, which actually ends the 29th into the 30th. So here's a Kachira snowfall, which actually considers the overall 700 millibar temperature and all that good stuff. So this is going to be a little bit more accurate than the 10-to-1 ratio. So this is the overall look at what the upper Midwest is looking at for the next two snowstorms. Definitely a lot more snow. However, notice how with both these storms combined, it still has less snow for the southern portion of Wisconsin and upper Illinois compared to the HFR for windstorms. Like I said, it's gonna be very tricky forecast, but the main areas to watch out for is going to be between the next two storms is obviously obviously the Dakotas, much of Minnesota, much of Wisconsin, of course, to the Upper Peninsula of Wisconsin. We could very well see within both storms combined, snowfall accumulations could see nearly 2 feet across Minnesota, eastern North Dakota, far northern South Dakota, northwestern Wisconsin. Could be seen now, and within both storms combined, could see around over half a foot for areas like Rochester, the area kind of a little bit closer to that freezing line practically. And then the Europeans pretty much similar. However, just take a lot further of a south approach. So it's going to go all the way up to possibly nearly half a foot for Madison, getting over nearly a foot for Iowa. Definitely a pretty big difference between the European and the GFS. But definitely there is some similarities between the kind of earth of that snow staying between this general area. So definitely going to keep a very close eye on it. But hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys later.